going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Report. In this one, I got my homeboy Serge. He's the founder of the Wavy Movement. Anything you want to say to the people?
First, I want to say I appreciate you, bro, for connecting and allowing us to have this opportunity to just educate, inspire, just conversate about topics that we feel important. And just thank you for anyone who's tuning in and considering and just hearing out the message. Thank you for supporting.
Man, I want to thank you for being on, guys. So, Serge, man, he's this guy. When I first met this guy, I was obviously blown away by this guy's physique. Like, he had the best body I had seen in a very long time. Like, no homo here. But,
Right.
you got to give debit where credit is due. So, like, when I first seen you, bro, I noticed, like, dude, you had, like, this incredible shape. And not only behind it, when you see guys with this shape, you just automatically assume they might be assholes or, like, he just lost, dude. He probably arrogant. When I first met you, man, your personality was completely the opposite. It's like, wow, this guy's a real gentle human being, like a real genuine, gentle, like sympathetic, empathetic, down to earth type of guy, and like, you're just from the way you live your lifestyle, the way you carry yourself, man, like, making healthier choices. I just want to know, like, growing up, like, what was your motivation? Like, what kind of like, led you down this path, to like better health?
I feel, a lot of times the situations and circumstances we put in life is what inspires us to figure out the things or educate us in the ways that we educate ourselves. And for me, growing up in Ukraine, seeing my family die in front of me to drugs, alcohol, to seeing my mom starving my sister, to death in front of me, it's kind of like these things, they created situations that I was in. I was sleeping outside. I was going through orphanage system 2 years. And when I came to America, it was like, yo, you went through all this stuff. It's like somebody shook me,
Yeah.
And then they got me
Wow.
into this much more stable environment. And I'm kind of like, damn, where's the chaos? And then after I had to integrate myself into it, I feel like in life, we make these big decisions and we have to find a way to integrate this change, this knowledge, this understanding into life. And sometimes that to me was, I feel I always had the inspiration because I always went through so much. I would always tell myself, like, what do you need inspiration for, bro? You are grateful. You are blessed right here. You have a bed. Man, I didn't have a bed, my own bed, bro, until I was 8 years old. Like,
Wow.
like my own bed. Like in an orphanage, we had 6 beds in one room.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, it was ridiculous to the point to where I didn't need to ask for inspiration. The inspiration was me persevering through the obstacles that I was in life and finding always how to make something out of not much. And that's what I've
Yeah.
always done. And when I met you, I was trying my best, at that point in time, it was much different because I was still bodybuilding and I was creating this physique. It was interesting that now, listening upon how you said it, it was like I had this, it was hard shell, but so soft on the interior. And I was in a state of mind, when back then where I was trying to tap into the gentleness with others, but
Mm-hmm.
portraying it as hardness. And in this
Yeah.
ironic way, as a lot of masculine energy does. It wants to be like
That's
this
kind of like
Mr.
Gary
Tough
V.
guy. You said what?
That's kind of like Gary V. Kind of like a
Yeah.
hard shell, but a really gentle person.
Yeah, but it's like, and then you could be direct and firm, but there's not a need to be overly masculine. At that time in my life, I was so focused on creating this, you know, content look, content feeling, and content perception from other people of who I was, instead of actually embodying that which I felt was authentic. And that was because I didn't really try to understand myself. And when I started understanding myself from the chemical point of view, like what's happening in my body when I intake foods, if the DNA is the information, I think we forget that DNA is information because if we start looking at things chemically, we start seeing that from the chemical aspect, the being and the consciousness of the being has developed. And even
Exactly.
from the point of atoms and then the movement of atoms, even through physical movement, we are creating dysfunctions or we're creating equilibrium in the functionality of the body. And all these things stress our thoughts, the way we talk to each other. And at the same time that we were meeting, I was having a lot of changes that were just creating new things for me to consider. But the inspiration of it all was always that I didn't have things that most kids needed. I didn't have an opportunity to have an education until I was 8 years old. And at that point, I did the best that I could to educate myself from all perspectives to see what is going on. Why did I come here? Why is it that I was the first adoption or orphanage to come to America? I see all these 300, 400 kids being left behind. And I'm
Yeah.
feeling this pressure, to be great, to be this, but at the same time, balancing the flow of well, what is my way's unique way? Maybe other people don't see it to be so grandiose, but it's impactful. And just being humble to that point, but also having this motivation, inspiration to always want to do my best because I deserve to do my best. This is you and all of us.
So let me ask you this: what was the transition like? You coming from a whole different country, like what was the transition like? Trying to fit in with other people from like wanting to be like your own individual. Like, what was that like?
It was honestly, well, one, it was intimidating because I had come and I was physically very small in comparison to a lot of other children because I was malnourished for years. I was when I was adopted at 8 years old, I was 42 pounds and 42 inches, the same
Yeah,
height and weight. So it was like I just, and from that physical aspect, from mental point of view, I didn't understand the language, and I just looked like somebody brought a puppy in and everybody's trying to pet it, and just so excited about it. And then whenever you try to integrate, like you can't really relate to the kids, like you just came out of seeing hell 6 8 years, and then and everybody just chilling, calm. You don't feel threatened. Like one of the things I used to do, man, is I used to gather food and I used to put it in my closet because I was scared that I was not gonna have food, man. I used to hoard food because I was always used to not having food, and so like these traits I had to unlearn and relearn because I had to get out of survival mode.
yeah,
'Cause survival mode will have you thinking at the expense of other people for benefiting yourself for
mhm,
the lack of. It's a lack of mentality, I feel, a lot of times. And when we get out of that mentality, we see that there's abundance, that I don't actually have to try to eat at the expense of the person. That if we both eat,
yeah,
then if I don't got it this day, he might have it the next day, and we get to eat again. So
right. For sure. That's what's up, man. And the reason why I asked you that, because I know for me personally, like, that transition didn't happen till like I was about like 16 when I realized like, it's like, really just fuck trying to be, fit in with everybody. Like, I am who I am at the end of the day. And so like that path for me, really, that pathway started to shift, towards the end of high school. Like when I wanted to be my own individual, like, I noticed you got books behind you and like, diving into books, that's a journey within itself right there. So like when did you like
definitely,
start finding like literature or start seeking like outside advice from like other people?
education. And when I was when I was a second grade, education really was one of the most driving factors. So for me, it started every year until fifth grade. I had to go to summer school to catch up. Every day I would be in ESL, English standard language class. I was or English second language class, and so I had to go to Huntington Learning Center 2 3 times a week extra for 3 hours, and I had to do I'll put in the time, and so I started realizing that education allowed me to have perspectives and understanding of myself in relation to all around and the interrelatedness of everything. And I would pick up these pieces, but there would be times where, it's like there's so much perspectives out here, and you don't really know what is true until you do it. And
Yeah,
sometimes, it might take you shit in ways that you don't never expect. Someone might have to
definitely.
go to jail to learn that something's illegal. They might
Literally.
have to, yeah.
Your
And
legs
so
might have to get cut off.
exactly. Might have to get in a car accident to know that you got to put in your seatbelt. So sometimes, it depends how we learn. And I didn't always learn, just from the education of the books. And so then it took me in the path. But I think that in high school, really, it is when I really felt the most inspired to consider other perspectives of life besides just what is taught in school. And for me, at first, it was through the Christian faith. And then it ultimately turned into looking into Native American way of life. Novel Indian, I had an interesting experience where I lived 49 days in a primitive retreat, junior year, going into junior year of high school. So that opened up my mind even more from the Christianity that I was experiencing. So
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that point of education, I just wanted to educate myself on how all these systems of beliefs interrelated and what is it that they're ultimately trying to teach us.
Exactly. So what you was right there, what you was trying to do, you was trying to take your focus off of the fingers and you were trying to see the moon that those fingers were pointing at. Like, okay, what are we what is it here? What's the thing, right? So you try to find the thing, and that's why I wish more people would wake up to like, yo, like just because you believe in this, somebody on the other side of this ball believes in something totally different, and you have to take that into consideration. So it's like
And see what
we have
stays,
we have to
what's
evolve
true.
out of our like narrow-minded point of views, man. So it's like that was huge from you to come from somewhere else and integrate yourself into like a foreign culture and not have a like narrow-minded perspective, be able to open yourself up a bit. And I think at the end of the day, man, as young as you are, it really makes you just that much more powerful, you know, just being able to operate and move like that and just kind of like carry that level of energy. Because like even when I moved out there to
Adaptability.
Texas, bro, I had no clue like what my plan really was. I really didn't have a plan, but I had something deeper. I had faith moving out there. So I'm like, I just know I'm gonna find my way, you know. And I ran into good people like you know, guys like Brady, and you know, people who just wanted the best for me, you know, people who wanted to help out. And that's what happens, like, you know, when you carry a certain like level of energy with everything that you do, and just and take other people's perspective into consideration. That's all I did with the people I spent time with, you know. So that's
And
dope,
this is
man.
about sharing that wisdom, you know? It's like we can only I think so many people are, and I sometimes get in this idea is like we want to hold ideas or we want to only present ideas so we can benefit or gain from it, but we don't realize that every time we connect with somebody, we are have an opportunity to almost plan for or almost understand that which we have experienced from different lenses.
Mm.
And not to say that I don't think that we need that external validation sometimes, but it's it's almost like, hey, you're not insane, you know. Somebody else is going
Yeah,
through
hey,
it.
hey,
Somebody
yes,
else is understanding this perspective, and
for
it's a
sure.
connecting of the dot.
Exactly, man. Because I believe there's a you know, there's objective truth, and then there's like a universal truth, right? You know, there's what you personally believe. Like I personally believe that what goes around comes around. But then there's universal truths like gravity. Like, bro, if I jump off this building, I'm going down. Like, period. No matter what I believe, type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the law of consequence. With any
So
action
like,
comes a
let me ask
reaction.
you this as well, man, because I know also like, you know, deciding to like monetize your lifestyle and like, you know, put more content out here on the internet. I know that's a leap of faith within itself. When did you realize that that was like an opportunity to expand yourself or be like more of who you are?
So this Instagram, the Wavy Movement, which was it's been changed a few times the handle, but it was founded on in January of 22, 2019. So about a year ago, and it was like a month before that I had went vegan. I had cut out a lot of stuff in my life. I had like ended actually training bodybuilding. I was like, what am I doing? I'm destroying my joints, my back. Like if I want to work out, I need to utilize that which makes sense. That is what's intentional, not habitual.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, about a year ago, I really realized how is it that I can bring people my knowledge, my wisdom, my experience, and share and collaborate with them. Well, why don't I create a movement or a community and then create that a platform and move it to a website which has blogs, has recipes, has herbal cellular regenerations, and I could be a service to everyone. That if someone wants to ultimately have a transition or a change in their life, I can facilitate them entirely through it and provide the resources for them. And there is no excuse.
Damn. Hey, and I seen your site, man. You doing your thing, man. You really
I
adding a lot of value.
appreciate
Like,
it.
what's the handle for it?
It's thewavymovement.com.
Okay, I'll make sure you know, it's probably on the screen right now, in this recording. So, yeah, man, that's dope, man. You're really bringing a lot of value, and all I got to tell you, and you probably already noticed that it's just a matter of time. Like consistency, you know, it's that's the name of the game at
Yes.
the end of the day. Loving your game, you already won. Like loving what you do, loving who you are, loving what you teach, loving what you bring to the table, you already won over the next man who's probably just in it for the money. Like I thought I was gonna be like a fitness coach, bro. I thought that was for me. Like I had a website telling people like, yeah, I can help you get in shape just because I had lost like 40, 50 pounds. I was feeling like a expert guru, right? Trying to make money off people. I was a scumbucket, like, you know what I mean? I didn't love that game. I didn't really love that process. So I burnt out, you know. But
It
like
be like that.
it's no wonder
But
why I've been like, you know, reaching out to people or like doing podcasts or just putting out the content I've been putting out consistently for a year now. It's no wonder because this is what I enjoy. This is what I love. You can't get burnt out from something that you love,
no,
you know?
I definitely understand that. And I think that's like you said, is you will get burned out if you're doing something you don't love. And I feel innately that which we don't need is like the snake shedding the skin, you know? It's the old season, the old stuff. You've learned what you needed from it, but now it must go. And, you know, sometimes it's like life has an interesting way of just sometimes getting us to the next chapter,
For sure.
or what
Yeah.
happens events, and we must either adapt. I think that's one thing I've done in my life. I've always been able to adapt, and people know me, that they know that I've changed so much. I've adapted from the understanding of my newest experiences, and
Mm.
also from the wisdom of what I have experienced, and then with that connection of what I have experienced and being present, open-minded to experience what is happening, without having this preconception of it, without having a limitation of what it could be, or a limitation that, yo, this person, oh, he's doing this, so he must be angry, or he probably doesn't care about me. It's like, it's not situational, Like, I must give people respect and love and allow it to be with that which it is. People are gonna choose how and act how they're gonna act,
Right.
but I must allow that to be, just to see the potential of what is capable. I don't feel to walk around people and think that I can't learn something from people, or that I can't, interact with people in a positive way, because we have so much to share and
Hmm.
collab with. And that's what I feel like this new trend in business to me is not about. For me, I could hide all this information and try to like monetize it, but that's what I realized is like, nobody can be that which we are. No, you can have all the information, but you can't carry out like someone else. You can't be the charisma. You can't remember it. You can't facilitate in the same manner. So it's like nothing to be held of like holding this content and being like, oh, I don't want them to get it, because they'll never be you, and I'll never be them. And so I just do the best that I can by sharing all the stuff that I know, not expecting, and then also providing even a further facilitation of that if necessary, because sometimes people just need accountability. They just want someone just to be there, just someone to relate to.
No doubt about it, man. Yeah, I mean, you just nailed it, though. That's what it's about. Like giving with no expectation. Like,
Yeah, that's
and that's
tough.
a spiritual game within itself. Like, because I believe to a degree you're still playing the game of karma. You ultimately know intrinsically that you will get what you give. Like the
Yeah,
world, it's like how oxygen works. Like if you try to hold your breath, the only thing you're gonna end up doing is losing it. It's gonna come out of you because that's the natural give and take about life. You can't hold it all for yourself. You have to give some of it away at some point, and then it'll come back to you. Like so, like you said, I used to try to like hold on to this information or try to make money off of it when I realized, hey man, look, it's here for everybody. I can be that source for you though. I can be a resourceful person. I can be a go-to. I can establish that relationship with you where you respect me for providing this information for
yeah,
you, So that's when I really learned the power of like personal branding and like what it means to be that person who somebody can reference, like, yo, such and such taught me or told me, it's just that word of mouth conversation about this individual at the end of the day. Because what I learned from Gary Vee is the person who asks first in any exchange loses. If you're the person who's asking, you're the person who's losing. The person who gets asked has all the leverage. I can tell you no, or I can make you be my little bitch for it. Like, you know what I mean? So you're trying to get a better position in somebody else's company, or you're trying to ask them for a raise or something like that. But when you're doing things on your own term, you're not asking anybody for nothing. You've already built you a personal brand. Brands are going to reach out to you and say, "Hey, Serge, we've noticed that, you get this amount of attention. We would like to know if it was possible in your schedule. It's like these details, like come at you with that type of respect off of just the work that you already put in, being that source for so many different people. So now they can vouch for you. You know what I'm saying? You're the finger that they're pointing. You're the object that the finger is pointing at now. So like that's just an amazing opportunity that I feel like we all have, bro. So like I just want to congratulate you for just
bro, I
being on this journey, man.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, dog.
me.
We got
I
a lot to
say
look
it
forward
very
to.
humbly, but I'm truly grateful for it. In the development of my business, at first, like you, I wanted to make a fitness brand. And the thing is that what I realized in trying to create the vision, like you were saying, the dependency. When I have to depend on someone else to create a project with them, sometimes that stops me from creating things. It stops me from moving forward. And that's one thing I realized is when you want to make something happen, you're going to be presented with all the opportunities. Like for me, I got opportunity. I got a laptop. I had to learn how to run a website. I got a camera, so then I have to wait on nobody to take a picture of the
Right.
product. I had to learn how to take pictures of my own product. So like everything slowly, like if I anything that I needed to, you have an opportunity to present and to learn the skill necessary to present your art in this way, or change the way you present art, change your art form. And I think that's a beautiful thing that we learn, that it sometimes might start with ourselves or might cultivate through a few projects. But I learned very quickly is that people aren't going to invest as much into you as you invest into yourself unless they see that you've already invested in yourself.
Yeah, they have to see that you got something going for yourself. Like my little cousin earlier, he was bothering me like, hey, I want to do a video with you, man. Let's do a video right now. I demand a video right now. He like maybe 8 years old, but he saw me on YouTube and he's determined to get a video. I'm like, have you built a brand for yourself? He's like, no. I'm like, well, how about you build something for yourself and then people start inviting you on their shows? He was like, all right. So
He said,
I guess he's gonna
"What
go
is
start making his
YouTube?"
videos and build his little audience. I'm like, that's how you do it. Like, build something for yourself first, and then other people just gonna want to kind of like help you along that journey.
Like mutual branding and coming together of audiences, for a similar purpose. I think that's what we're doing. We're just bridging the gap, connecting it all. Because if you know it's something about humanity, a lot of times we always try, and I myself am guilty of, for some reason, the societal trend is to find what's different about people. Like when we walk, we look at like, oh, this person's ugly, or like we say, oh, this person's got these shoes. Like we're trying to find the difference. We're never just trying to
Difference.
appreciate the unique perspective that which that person is and where they come from and why is it that they wear this, why is it that they have this hairstyle. And I think that's one thing that I have let go of so much in this world, and not look at it from a front end of business in, what's going to happen, how much money am I going to get from this person, or how they done things, but who is this person authentically? Can we do something even if they're not popping or anything big? Like what can we
Right.
bring out to the community? What kind of vibes? And what are we talking about? And if we
Because
can
what I
do it,
learned,
I think
bottom line is, you're never gonna know somebody completely just from experiencing that person in one moment. That's just a
definitely.
snapshot of that person. Like, I don't care if you've seen them with a rip in their pants. Like you can't just determine who they are from that moment, from that stream. Like the closest person to you don't even know you. Like because they're not even in your head. So it's like you just can't think you know people. Like so, like you said, we got to start really looking for the uniqueness in certain individuals and the thing that really makes them them. You know what I mean?
And accept that, without trying to change it. And also, that's one of my things is it's like anything. It's like our mind always wants to relate to this idea of what we think is normal. I think somebody
Right.
wearing skinny jeans is a little like feminine. I'm like, oh, but it's like, why does it even matter? Like why, like what part of myself? Because everything that we say externally is internally already thought of, generated, or produced, or accepted to be true. That's why we're trying to make these connections to relate to. But it's like at the point having no agenda, no preconception, and just me allowing that person to be the person, I think is beautiful. It always works out in the end. Everything will come to light. I mean, it's gonna show itself. And I think that's the fear of humanity and myself too. Sometimes that, well, damn, I'm trying to protect myself from not getting hurt. I'm trying to protect myself from never having a bad business interaction. But you can't. That's gonna create that energy.
Wow, that's exactly. I think it was Charles Darwin who said like that's the mistake that humans make. He said they seek to look for like experiences that make them happy, and they tend to avoid unhappiness. But he said the problem with that is it's the unhappiness or the not so pleasurable experiences that makes a person stronger, that creates the characters. The legends throughout history are the people who went through the most shit. Guys like Eric Thomas said that he turned his strange relationship with his father into a best-selling book, or his strange relationship with his dad into
He
a
was
best-selling book.
homeless.
He converted that pain into the thing that made him who he is. So it's like, how can you live life avoiding unpleasure or unhappiness? You can't. You can't.
You
Like,
Mark Passio said it best. He said, "You either accept existence, or you expect resistance." And so that's we gotta accept everything. I never say I don't gotta kiss everyone's feet and whatnot, but I can just allow everyone to be that which they are without feeling like I gotta mug them, or feeling like I gotta do something expensive. It's like we see somebody down, we see somebody not having something. It's like even if nobody else gave them something, like, what is $3 going to do for us? Like, it's not going to hurt you. Like it's at the end of the day. I mean, that's how I see it from a perspective of it's not necessarily creating. I think we're just scared to lose. We feel like if we give, we're losing, and therefore that is the whole poverty mindset. Everything is held. If I give you love, you're gonna manipulate me. But it's like this openness has to be there, and this is trust. And I think that's the society we're doing that. We're not trying to enclose everything, make everything seem like it's for the benefit of an individual. Yes, individuals do benefit in a society that's geared towards the collective, but we have to have the collective in mind if we are going to benefit, truly benefit on the individual.
For sure, for sure. And I think like, when you go way back, and this is going deep as hell, like when you go back to civilizations like the Sumerians and shit like that, like did those civilizations already understand that we had to think on a collective level in order to like thrive in the first place? They had to be that way for us to even get here. Like, how the fuck did humanity how are we still here unless like the majority of us have that or maintain a mindset like that encompasses the good of all instead of the good of just the individual. So this is why I appreciate like the greats, man, like the Charles Darwins of the world, the the Galileos, the people who just dare to venture outside of common belief and give the world a new perspective. I was reading like about the French Revolution, guys like Jean-Paul Saint Pierre. They were starting a new thought movement, and they was like, look, man, we don't want to believe in just religion. That's not just life. Like, we should be able to think how we want to think. So they started talking over there. Like, they knew it was just another, like, life was just more than this bubble that's society was just trying to keep them in. So I think that's another thing that people just need to consider. So like, I wanted to ask you, like, especially with those books behind you, like, who are some of your sources? Like, who do you go to for like information or inspiration, or who's been the biggest mentors in your life?
So in having the connection, I'm glad that you asked me that question. And having a connection of all these different topics coming together. Like one thing that I first started off with movement. So the first guy was Nadia Aguilar, functional patterns. And he took an understanding of physics and he applied it to the gait cycle, understanding joint stacking, understanding that we're transverse rotational beings, that we throw, we walk, we run, we grab. And so, but we do it off 2 feet. And so incorporating that was the first start. And then in the food aspect, first few people is Dr. Sebi was one of them. There's a book called Walking with Dr. Sebi, or My Journey with Dr. Sebi, right here from Alberto Guerrero, or Abelardo Guerrero, excuse me. Okay. And so I started with that one, and then I started reading Arnold Ehret. Professor Arnold Ehret, he was a professor in the 1890s, 1900s who performed fasts on hundreds of people. He himself, in a 14-month period, fasted for 21 days, 24 days, 32 days, and 49 days. And man, he was like walking, he was doing exercises while fasting. Like he was trying to test his body. And so Professor Arnold Ehret, Robert Morse was another one that was a naturopath from like 1980s to now, modern day still. So in the movement and food aspect, those are those people. And then I started connecting, okay, chemistry. Well, what about plants? Like you were even saying the Sumerians, we have a collective understanding. Like why did they always used to sit in ceremonial and tribal gatherings over plant medicine or music? They always had these collective meetings. Nowadays, you see people in one or two people settings, isolated. Or if we're all together, what are we doing? We turning up. We listening to some low frequency music. We're just escaping, or we doing some low frequency actions like we drinking alcohol. It's just like things that we're not actually intentionalizing a collective gathering of energy to do something positive. Back in the day, one of the things is that they use plant medicine in ceremonies. They use plant medicines, and what they would do is they would go into these other alternate dimensions, and ultimately they would say that they would actually plan out who they were going to attack, where they were going to move the tribe, any decision they wanted to make. But they would actually go using the plant medicine, whether it be psilocybin.
That's incredible. Hey, so who the hell discovered the shrooms? Because somebody lost some shrooms, dude.
Shrooms. Who's to say who's the European man or the white man? Who knows? I can't tell you that, but I know that the mushrooms have been around, man, on a lot of different like civilizations. A lot of their hieroglyphs and a lot of their documents. This has been around forever. I mean, we even see that. I was watching Gaia, and I know Gaia people are like, oh man, don't watch Gaia, but psychedelic, they were talking about even cannabis being the first psychedelic plant, the first plant, a plant medicine plant that allowed people to gather in a temple spiritual way and to make communion. Because what they were saying, shamans were people that would take these plants and would go experience them, and they would come back and they would relay all these things. And they would have these geometrical connections they never had. They would have understanding of new inventions, science, technology. And it's like, who's giving these things? Like when people take mushrooms, they say, Terrence McKenna is one of the other guys. that I really enjoyed too. I watched a lot of his videos, The Archaic Revival by Terrence McKenna. I watched a lot of his videos before I started reading him in his books, and he was telling us how, in his experience with psilocybin and DMT, which is a natural chemical compound found in our body, and releasing at crazy rates when we die. This one
Right.
is actually, he was saying that there was these beings almost coming up with him with new technologies, and my own experiences are similar, but beings of in like showing stuff that we would never connect on our own psychic. And it's like, what
Damn.
parts of the psychic is it saying about it? But my thing is that I always wanted to see what makes humans human, and is this a limitation of other humans knowing how humans work, or is it truly because we haven't evolved at that point yet? And that's
For
why I
sure.
wanted to
And
start reading
I,
these
I
books.
imagine us one day living in a world where, the psilocybin experience is just a part of culture. Like it's not just like this underground thing. Like it's just gonna be a natural
Definitely.
thing, especially when it's legal in the next decade or so. Because it takes time for these things to get normalized, but it's coming. It's like no way around it, So it's too many health benefits. It's healing too many people. It's making too many lives better, and it's just gonna multiply. So I feel like as civilization gets more mature, this will just be a more common thing. Like we'll get to really like have more high level conversations because of it. Even guys like Steve Jobs, like this is becoming a common practice over in Silicon Valley, as you mentioned. Like these guys they're very hip to the creative power that these plants can offer. So like, I say don't overdo it. Like for
And
me,
that,
I personally do it maybe like once a year, just to have that experience again, just to get that validation again, talk to the universe, whatever you need to do, whatever you spiritually believe in. But like for me, it's almost like a recharge. So even when you listen to guys like Joe Rogan, he's like, yo, like this shit is just late kind of catching up, but eventually society will get there.
but it's good that it's happening because psilocybin, and Terrence McKenna says it well. It teaches us a lot about language. It's like whenever we're in psychedelics, sometimes it's like it allows us to in a sense communicate or observe or experience, however, or reflect upon our subconscious mind, that which is a below our awareness. Traumatic experiences, a lot of these things are brought up, and for us to heal in ways that we might not have been able to in our psyche, because it's connecting parts of our brains, and it's letting go of just this aspect of rationality, or this aspect of restricting experience because it doesn't understand, so it doesn't want to understand. It's almost like when you come in the experience and you have these preconceptions, whatever even intention we have, we can almost say that it doesn't not mean it's going to happen,
Hmm.
because whatever the medicine wants to teach you, aka almost the medicine and you in this balance,
For
will be
sure.
that which is needed. But I
Exactly.
feel the beautiful thing is that people are now at least being open-minded to it. It's going away from being demonized and
Yeah.
thinking it's like the devil, and actually realizing that it comes from source. It comes
Sure.
from source. Whatever the source of existence, life is, intelligence, consciousness, and it's giving us an ability to communicate directly within ourselves and other existence of, whether you want to call them entities, energy, presences, or beings, frequencies, sounds, however you want to identify it. But it's connecting things that we wouldn't connect. And I feel like you said, people that really have innovated things and have connected things on levels that people that wouldn't take plant medicine wouldn't, because of the fact that they took that route. And now the thing is that we have a direct experience. We don't have to wait to a shaman to tell us what's happening there.
Right.
We can find a way to take those beautiful mushrooms and find a way to experience that directly, to see, well, are they lying to us? Are they
Right.
telling us this? Because that's the thing about shamanism. It could be like that. You're relying on somebody to tell you that which you feel could be very precious information, but that's up to their discretion
For
instead of
sure,
a
man.
direct
And like,
experience.
with life being like just so limited for like the average human being, like, a fucking piano can fall on my head tomorrow and I'm gone. Like, that's why I say like it's important to just spend, the time that you have here now, just be figuring out ways to be happy, like forgetting other people's judgment, because like you'll just lose sight of the overall thing if you're just too worried about how people view you. So I appreciate the fact that people are becoming more open minded to like experiences like this, like starting to not really give a fuck about, traditional thought, and just kind of stepping out into their own, realizing that, look, this life experience is completely limited. You'll be gone one day. Um, there's just there's things that you can experience that people might tell you otherwise, but you have to have that experience for yourself to like that's like if I told you about honey, like, yo, let's say you never knew about honey. I could tell you all I want about it, but until you actually taste some honey and experience honey, then the conversation is really just pointless. You know what I mean? You're not even gonna know what I'm talking about. Like we're really both wasting our time and shit for real. Oh, it's like,
And
but I appreciate that becoming like, just more common, So, but man, I definitely thank you for just, coming on and just spilling your thoughts, bro. I just want to ask, like, is anything you just want to like lead the people with, like, just one final thought, anything that you like, just just want them to know or just like carry from this point on?
first of all, I appreciate you for having me, and for anyone tuning in and just considering, other perspectives. And for me, if I could tell anybody anything, it's always is to trust yourself, to trust that you're gonna do everything that you need to do. And sometimes it's scary. Sometimes you gotta fall. Sometimes you gotta see the end of your beliefs and your emotions. You gotta see the product of what you built before you see that it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work. Sometimes you gotta build the house before you knew that the foundation wasn't good, or that one wall wasn't built to the same standard as the other. And sometimes it's like that. You got to go in and repair it. And it's not linear. Growth isn't linear. Growth, I think we've started to realize this, that we can't look at growth as being linear. It's not like our age of years that, oh, just because I'm this year now, I'm this much more mature,
Right.
my consciousness went up. It's like it just happens at the rate that it happens. Just as a snake's gonna shed its skin at the rate that it sheds its skin, I too shall become enlightened. And that's how I feel. It's just, it is, and I'm here present and intentionally doing the best that I can. And all these perspectives will be given to me. And through my experience, my wisdom, and my intuitive feelings, thoughts, and
Mm-hmm.
emotions, which are ultimately derived from the same thing, my thoughts. Which I think thoughts are interesting, because I think that thoughts could be almost looked at as entities,
Mm-hmm.
because they come out as real life. Even our words, they're coming out as life. They're becoming almost something solid in a
For
sense.
sure.
And so at this point, just always to be mindful of what we do, how we take care of ourselves. And if we don't understand ourselves, we'll never be able to understand anything else or anyone else. And that's one thing that I've strived to implicate in my life, and to inspire others to do the same.
Thanks, man. Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Hey, make sure y'all check out the wavymovement.com, man. That brother teaching a lot, giving a lot of value, man. Make sure y'all go ahead and subscribe, man. Like I said,
Hey,
thank you
check
again.
out the Detroit Guru.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. We'll catch y'all on the next one.